Okay, this is topic 4, lesson 5, dividing by one-digit divisors. So we're going to talk about how you divide three-digit numbers by one-digit numbers. And if you can do three-digit numbers by one-digit numbers, you can do four-digit numbers by one-digit numbers, you can do whatever. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at 432 divided by 6. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at, so the first thing we have to do is we need to write this out, too. We have to know how to write this out. Remember, so it's 432 divided by 6, which is 432 divided by 6. Remember, we read this way. We read this that way. Okay. So our first thing is to estimate to decide where we're going to put the first digit in the quotient. So remember, the quotient is the answer. So we're going to look at 43. And we're going to think to ourselves, what can we change that 43 to make it close to 6, something that would be divisible by 6? And 42, so we're going to make this to 420. And 420, so 42 divided by 6 is 7. And then we're going to annex that 0. So 70. So we know our answer. There's two things we can learn by doing that estimation. The first thing we can learn is that our answer should be somewhere fairly close to 70. It should be a little bit. This is an underestimate, right? So it should be a little bit over. It should be a little bit over 70. And then the other thing we can learn is that our answer is going to start in the tens place. So remember, when you do division, when you get done, from the number you start, there should be a number over every number in the dividend. So I'm going to start here in the tens column because 70, if you think about putting 70 there, it would go over this 7, it would go over the 2. So that means I have to have a number over the 3, and I have to have a number over the 2 because I'm starting in the tens place. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see, especially with longer dividends, is that people kind of like forget to do the end of the problem. Or they kind of stop here and they don't go any further. So from wherever you start, you need to have a number over every other number, every other digit in the dividend. So in this case, I'm starting in the tens place. That means I'll have a number over the 7, over the 3, and I'll have a number over the 2 when I'm done. Okay, so so 6 can go into 43. It can go into 43 7 times. And this also gives me a really good starting place, too. I know that 7 times 6 is 42, so there's a good chance that this first digit is going to be a 7, too. So 7 times 6, so I do 7 times 6. So I divide the tens and multiply and subtract. So I'm dividing the tens, right? I'm here in the tens column, and then now I'm going to multiply. 7 times 6 is 42, and now I'm going to subtract, and I get 1. I got to make sure this number here is smaller than this number here. If this number here is the same as this number or bigger than the divisor, I've made a mistake. Okay, so but 1 is less than 6, so I'm okay. Now I'm going to bring down the ones and divide the ones and multiply and subtract. So I'm going to bring down the 2. If you want to, you can make an arrow if that helps you. That kind of helps, especially when you get into like longer dividends, to make sure you brought down all the numbers. So I'm going to bring down a 2. And 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. And 12 minus 12 is 0. So the answer would be 72. Okay, we're going to look at two more examples. I'm trying to do them not too. I don't want to take you too long here, but I do want to show you a couple other examples of what can happen. So this one is 380 divide um, divided by 6. And again, we're going to start by estimating 38. What number is close to 38 that's divisible by 6? And I would say the closest would be 36. 36 divided by 6 is 60. So my answer should be close to 60. It's going to be a little higher than 60. So I know my number is going to start in the tens place. And again, when I'm done, I should have a number over the 8. and I should have a number over the 0. So 6 goes into 38, and it goes in 6 times. I'm going to subtract. So we multiplied. Now we subtract. I'm going to bring down the ones. 6 goes into 20, and so 2 is less than 6, so I know that's okay. I'm going to bring down the 0. And 20, 6 goes into 20 3 times. 18, 2. And again, this number's lower than 6, so I'm okay. So it would be 63 with a remainder of 2. And I can express that also as, it's not, I think sometimes people think this means 63 and 2/10. It doesn't mean 63 and 2/10. It means 60, whoops, got a pen on. It means 63 and 2/6. So it's the remainder is over because it's 2/6 of a whole. So you could express this either this way, or you can express it that way. Either one. And this, as you get older, this is going to be the preferred way. You're not going to really be doing this remainder thing anymore. You're going to be expressing it as a fraction. And obviously this fraction could be reduced, but we won't get into that quite yet. I'm going to give you one more example. 547 divided by 4. So again, in this case, I'm just going to look at the 5. And I could change this 5 to a 4. And I would get 100, right? Because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then I annex the 2 zeros. So I know I'm going to start in the hundreds place in this one. So instead of having a 2-digit quotient, I'm going to have a 3-digit quotient. Because 4 can go into 5 one time. So 1 times 4 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 is less than 4, so I know that's okay. I'm going to bring down the 4. 14. 4 can go into 14 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. And subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 is okay. 2 is less than 4, so I'm okay. You got to constantly do that. And then I'm going to bring down the 7. And 4 goes into 27 6 times, right? Because 7 would be too many. 7 would be 28, so I couldn't do that. So it would be 6 times. So it would be 100. I'm going to show you one thing I don't like how I did this, because this little line here got confused with that, and so it looks like a 7 or whatever. So you got to be, one thing that I didn't do here that you really do need to do is be neat. So this would be 136 remainder 3, which would be 136 and 3/4. So again, from where I started in the hundreds place in this one. I had to have a number over the hundreds place, the tens place, and the ones place. Okay, so how do you check a division problem? You multiply and then you add in the remainder. So well, let's check one. Let's not check that one. Let's do 380 divided by 6. So what you do is you multiply the quotient by the divisor. So 63 times 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 6 times 6 is 36 plus 1 is 7. And then you add in the remainder. And it should equal the dividend, which it did. So it's the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder. So it's the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder, which should equal the dividend. That's how you check a division problem. Okay, why don't you try 684 divided by 6? Okay, how do we do? Let's see. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. That's kind of small. So we're going to start by estimating, and I can just make this 600. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. And that would be a 100. So I know this is going to be a 3-digit quotient, because I've got one. I'm going to start in the hundreds place. That means I'm going to have a number over the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So I should have a 3-digit quotient. So I'm going to start by dividing. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 is less than 6, so I'm okay. I'm going to bring down an 8. 6 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 is less than 6, so I'm okay. Now I'm going to bring down a 4. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Get rid of this. And I hit 0, and 0 obviously is less than 6. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to check it. So I know I've got something close to my estimate, so I know my answer is at the very least reasonable. And then I'm going to do 114 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 4. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And then 6 times 1 is 6. And there's no remainder to add in. And sure enough, 684 is the same as 684. And that's how you divide a number by a one-digit divisor. Thank you for listening.